universities and colleges. Professor Ami Upadhyay has served as Vice Chancellor of BAOU Gujarat since 2018. India's open universities reach beyond the conventional to open access to all with innovative teaching and learning. Dr. Sumit Kalra is Associate Professor at the Department of Computer Science and Engineering at the Indian Institute of Technology in Jodhpur, bringing Frugal AI system innovation from India to the world. To these three voices of India, we add three international voices. Dr. Edwin Tano is the CEO of the Kenya School of Technical and Vocational Training in Kenya. Dr. Tano plays a key role in shaping Kenya's vocational and technical education landscape, from policy all of the way to implementation in a skills agenda. Dr. Sokut Rohid is the special advisor to the Minister for Tertiary Education and Research in Mauritius, a small island state with a highly engaged government driving learning innovation. And Dr. Rajni Chand is the director of the Center for Flexible Learning at the University of the South Pacific in Fiji. Through that university, Dr. Chand represents not one, but a network of 12 Pacific Island countries working together. My name is Peter Scott, and I'm the President and CEO of an intergovernmental organization of the Commonwealth of Nations. That is 56 sovereign countries working together. Our intergovernmental organization is tasked with helping those countries to innovate in education, to create new things that will help learners to be included in education where they cannot otherwise access it, where they cannot otherwise be successful. Our intent is to sustainably open up education inclusively to all, and we speak through giving voice to our member nations from the smallest island state to the largest. So without further delay, let's hear a little from each of these voices of the Commonwealth, and they've all got less than 5 minutes now, to tell you a little bit about the broad agenda that we are launching today with a compact for Frugal AI for inclusive education. First up, I'll invite Dr. Kalra to the podium.
Good evening, everyone. I'm associate professor working at IIT Jodhpur in Computer Science Department, and we have been working with Commonwealth of Learning to develop this Frugal AI based system. So I'll talk about the system a bit more. Why we moving to Frugal AI? Frugal AI means we have our AI server running in a local system. It's not on cloud. That gives some inherent advantage of offline ready. You don't need to have internet connectivity while using this Frugal AI based solutions. Then you have data sovereignty. You have full ownership of data because the data is not leaving your premises. Then it's privacy first because data is not leaving your premises. You have full control over data, so you control your privacy as well. Since it's on a local system, local intranet, you saved on bandwidth, you save on power. Like I said, it does not require big servers, large computing resources. It can work with maybe a server class machine in your data center. So it's a low power, it's a low cost as well. So when teachers and learners are locally accessing the AI server, it serves the purpose and gives all these benefits. Let's see how this system working, which we have developed with Commonwealth of Learning. So it's a teacher in loop process. So teacher is in loop at every stage. It's not like a chat GPT or any other tool where you just give a prompt and get the answer. Here here our models have been trained on a particular curriculum, and that's where the teacher comes into loop at each and every stage and curate the content and make sure that the content is safe for consumption by learners. Once the content is generated, it goes through the review process. Once review is done, then it gets published, and then you can share with other educators. Let's look into how the system is actually working with teacher in loop. Our model has been fed with the government approved curriculum. Currently, we have developed this system which is being used in 5 countries, including India, Ghana, Zimbabwe, Kenya, and Nigeria. And we are working at the school level, college level, and vocational training level. So, all the levels with different kinds of subjects like mathematics, biology, fashion technology, and lab sciences. So, this variety shows that this frugal AI concept can be brought to the system into AI in education with a local server running in my lab. We are not using any cloud services for that. So this curriculum government approved curriculum is being used for training our LLMs, and these small models have been trained for different subjects, and then we have a layer of AI agents which help you devising the content or structuring the content or verification for quality and alignment purposes. Once these agents gives you output, educators comes in loop at each and every phase. You can in fact right now navigate to teacher in the loop and can see how system is working. So when it gives you the first output, then it goes through the verification immediately. It's not that the end result will be verified. Verification teacher in the loop since the beginning. So that's the overall advantage of teacher in loop. It helps reducing the lesson preparation time for teachers, and teacher has full control over the content what they are going to deliver to their learners. Local hosting makes it possible running on institutional servers, so universities don't need to go out and pay heavy cloud bills. Then data fully controlled by your educational institutes. There is no dependency on cloud. Data remains within your territory in your premises with full privacy. And then it's global ready because we are low bandwidth. We have mobile friendly design. It works with even 3G kind of network availability. So with that, I'll hand over to Professor Scott.
Actually, you can clap. So Dr. Kalra was very, very concise. Thank you. That was perfect. I hope the rest of the speakers have learned that perfect lesson for us today. So what we're talking about is AI that can be distributed in a frugal way to off-grid contexts to include remote communities. But always we're focused on the topic of quality. And that brings us to Professor Kanabiran.
Good afternoon to all of you. So, India has about 1,170 universities and 50,000 colleges. And if you look at where these colleges are located, more than 40% of the colleges are located in Tier 2, Tier 3, rural, remote locations, hilly areas. And these are the institutions where we want to sort of make them inclusive and mainstream them. And these institutions in rural and remote locations have, as all of you know, so many challenges. And lack of access to public infrastructure, lack of access to high-end devices. There are languages, too many languages that our country speaks. And someone was saying that there are 20 plus countries speaking one language, and there is one country which speaks 22 languages. That's kind of diversity that we are in. And very high faculty student ratio, sort of slightly technical term. The number of students were divided by the number of faculty, very high ratios. And our Prime Minister, through National Education Policy, has brought in the very important agenda of GER to 50% by 2035, which is currently 28%. And there is a clear shift from knowledge to skills. And recently we got the Skill India report released, which says that India has now 51% employability, which has risen from 33% about 10 years ago, 33 to 51%. And there is a large percentage to improve. Now we are looking at the Frugal AI from specialization to democratization. And today, if you look at, we as a country are a dichotomy. And if you look at institutions of higher learning, INIs, or the institutions, large private ones which are with resources, are able to look at specialization in using AI. But what we need is to democratize it. And particularly, and the topic of the day today is personalization in learning using AI. But what we are looking at is localization of AI, and what Smith explained. And we may look at from large language models to small language models, more applicable to the ground situation. And we don't need GPUs. These institutions or these communities can't afford GPUs, but you need to look at AI available in personal devices, and proprietary to open source technologies, configurable platforms and resources, so that with limited resources they will still have access to specialized resources. And obviously public private partnership. And what we want to have is a student centered learning with teacher centered technology. Thank you.
That was amazing. 3 minutes. So hey, we're going to have time for questions. Who knew? Which is fantastic. So what you've heard is two of the voices of India. India's open universities are tasked with breaking open the educational system. So it's a pleasure to introduce Professor Ami Upadhyay, Vice Chancellor of BAOU.
Professor Peter Scott and co-panelists, it's indeed pleasure and privilege to address something on close to heart. Earlier we used to talk a lot about student-centric, and today we are talking about, after having machine, we are talking about teacher in the loop system, which is very, very important after AI. Professor Kannibaran mentioned about the target of GR, gross enrollment ratio, of 50 per 35. Here I would like to mention that in 1920, the Aishe report says that out of total GER, 11% plus GR comes from open universities. They are state open university, 17 plus national one. And now if we include in 2026, if we look at it with 100 plus higher education institutes offering open distance learning and online, obviously it would add to it. When it comes to open, here I would be sharing my experiences a little about open universities and the problems they face, and how this particular model would help us to solve those problems. First of all, for example, universities like us with 300,000 students, YCMU, Maharashtra Open University, and again IGNOU, we cater large number of students. Second, variety of languages. We have to invest a lot. Open universities will have to know that we have been investing a lot on self-learning material, developing content. Now when it would save duplication of content also, because the content what would be uploaded here would be used as OER. So it would help us to save money and time in duplication of the content. Second, with large language model, again social language model, and customizing it to cultural language model, that would be very, very important. Third point which is very important is that when it comes to faculties, with lakhs of students, the number of faculties are comparatively very less. So continuously being in touch with all number of students sitting at maybe the periphery of the states, periphery of the nation, it's not that easy. So this particular problem would be solved by the solution given by Commonwealth of Learning here. Next, somewhere customizing and tailoring certain courses in various languages, making it more comfortable, convenient, and customized for the people. Here, that would be very easy. Faculties cannot do that, where technology will really help us with that. National education policy focuses a lot on accessibility, affordability, and inclusive education, and huge focus on use of technology. That focuses on credit framework, also new credit framework, where again this particular solution will help us a lot. Universities like us who really offer 80 plus programs and 1000 plus courses, developing course content for them, that is huge time consuming and investing. But here that would be solved by, I think, this problem. So that would also help us a lot. When it comes to maintaining students' motivation continuously, that happens when continuously a teacher is there in the loop for the conversation and solving the problem. Yes, and again in rural India, connectivity is a huge problem. Internet is a huge problem. In absence of internet, when really the teacher is in the loop to help the problems, to solve the problems, that's really very, very important. And the choice-based credit system also, skill courses. Vocational professional courses are mandatory. Now this particular will come up with those solutions also. I think when matter comes to future open university, open distance learning and online learning solutions, more of assignment, question paper setting, assessment, continuously modification of content would really add value to AI, use of AI in open distance learning and online learning. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Doing great for time. Fantastic. So now that we've heard 3 critical voices from India, looking at the power of India's technology to try and create things that can be deployed in a frugal way, the importance of the challenge of reaching out into remote communities and how we even do that, with what you're going to hear in the whole rest of this summit is very clever and incredibly expensive stuff. And we've heard the task of India to try and make that work through open technologies and open systems and open education. Let's look at the rest of the world. And we're tasked with a small part of the rest of the world that contains a lot of countries, large and small. And I'll note that so far we've focused quite a lot on the higher education sector. But one of the things that ministers say to us all the time, and we're a diplomatic organization driven by the needs of the governments, is that we need to think about the skills agenda and how to make sure that when young people complete their education, they are skilled and employable. So I'd like to call on Dr. Edwin Tano from the Kenya School of Technical and Vocational Training.
Thank you very much, Professor Scott and team. We'll concentrate on the issues of TVET, Technical Vocational Education and Training. And is Frugal AI good for TVET? Because a lot of people in TVET think that Frugal AI is too low for them. And that is where we really have to discuss. We know for sure that 3 items in the contemporary AI, where we currently have ChatGPTs and the rest, consume 3 major components: more electricity, more data keeping, more data computing, and more water for cooling the data systems. Now, if you look at all those items, they are the items that lack in third world countries. Basically, if you accept to continue with the traditional system, then you are committing suicide. So how do we then mitigate? It's Frugal AI that will help us. It's going to make it cheap for us to operate, at the same time be able to have a localized system. Rural India is like Kenya also. We have a rural Kenya and rural Africa. So we really need to look at that. What we are basically trying to say is we are going to do more for less. That's the whole purpose of Frugal AI, getting more for less. Now I'll just walk quickly and ask that if you look at that, then where does the teacher come in? Who is the technical teacher? The technical teacher is so critical in coming in because you cannot transform students without transforming the teacher. We usually say you fix the teacher will fix the student will fix the product. So you can't work the other way around. So at Kenya School of TVET, working with Commonwealth of Learning, we have developed this system, a small Frugal AI system that is going to be rolled across the country. It will be interesting as we move to counter these things. But what are the processes that are critical for making a good Frugal AI for the institution? The first item you need to do is to have leadership acceptance. Whether it's the vice chancellor or a principal of that institution, they must have a buy-in. That's the first thing. The second thing is to explain, of course, to the stakeholders the benefits of Frugal AI and how much they will save in time, energy, and ability for you to have the teacher to be the center of the work. The second one is to develop clear policies. And this is very critical because if you develop policies, then it guides you in implementation. So develop policies, and remember when you're developing policies, you must have an inclusive system of policy where we have student leaders, if there's possibility, we have lecturers of that institution, we have faculty heads, so that the whole system can be able to agree on how to move to the next level. The third one, which is usually the most difficult, is to enforce. Now we have to enforce it, we have to make it work. And you can enforce this using several strategies that you can have across the systems in your institution. Then the last one, of course, is the teacher. How competent is the teacher in terms of developing the concepts that can be done locally, and of course making them relevant to the needs of that institution. In Frugal AI, we do not have a wide system that is shared easily. We are going to develop your own, work with the systems that you believe in, and it can be done locally by your lecturers and be able to be kept within the institution. That way, you are going to have more for less. Thank you very much.
Okay, super. So, skills, Kenya, leadership, engagement. Now I want to look away from the larger countries and focus a little bit on the needs of smaller countries. And we'll start with a country at a political level. So I'd like to introduce to you the Special Advisor to the Minister for Tertiary Education and Research of Mauritius, Dr. Sokut Rohit.
Thank you, Professor Scott. Good afternoon, everyone. Let me take this perspective from a policy approach. What is important when we are discussing about education in a country, in Mauritius or in any other country? For policymakers, what's important is to ask the simple question: what is the intention in whatever we are trying to do? The intention is very difficult to answer because very often there are different stakeholders who comes to the table with different perspective, with different agenda. But in the education sector, at least, there is something fundamental. We are trying to build skills and competencies for the future generation. So for us as policymakers, what's important is to ask a few questions. How do we get there? And at what cost do we get there? What does it take to build the capacity of our young people so that they can build the world of tomorrow? Now, in policy making, we always talk about 3 E's. One is equality, equality of opportunity, equality of quality opportunity for everyone, wherever they are in the country, urban, rural, remote, wherever they are. For us, coming from island economies, and my colleague co-panelists would agree there, sometimes we have several islands for the same country. Now, reaching all these people is important, and not all of them have the same infrastructure, not all of them, maybe they all are at the same income level, but not all of them have the same network, same infrastructure, same server. They are very different. The second thing is always about efficiency. What is the best possible way to do whatever we are trying to do? And here we always talk about efficiency and effectiveness. Efficiency is doing the right thing, doing things the right way. Effectiveness is doing the right thing. And that question always comes on the table. Whatever we are doing, if we are doing the right way, that's not enough. It's doing the right thing which is more important than doing it the right way. And for us, small islands, what's also important is the third E, which is environment, sustainable environment. So that brings me to four important questions, four important concepts that we always discuss before taking a policy measure. First is always costs. For island economies or for small countries, cost is extremely, extremely important. We are all in a situation where probably we are highly indebted already, or we have a fiscal space which is very, very limited. Now, and here the discussion about adopting open AI or frugal AI is very important here. Where is the cost lower? You remember I spoke about efficiency and effectiveness. Are we able to reach the same objective with a lower cost? That's where, for us, frugal AI comes in. In frugal AI, we have to have less energy, less cooling system, etc. So my colleagues, my co-panelists talked about this earlier. The second thing for us is sustainability and environment. Large language models use a lot of energy. And for us, that's very bad. Now, we as island economies, we face severe problem of sustainability. It's even a survival problem. If the sea level rises, we are all doomed, right? The island will cease to exist. For us, that even if we don't contribute to the global carbon footprint so much, yet it is important for us. So we try to as much as possible to contribute to that sustainability agenda. And for us, frugal AI is very important because it uses less power, less cooling system, so less energy, less carbon footprint, etc. The third is inclusivity and digital divide. In Mauritius, we are at a GR ratio which is above 50%, which is very high comparatively with the rest of the world. But we want to do more. For us, inclusivity does not mean poor people. It means people who may not have access to the best technology, the best network. So how do we reach to them? How do we bring them on board? How do we provide systems that they can use with their simple laptops rather than big servers, using their iPhones? My co-panelists spoke earlier about ODR. So how do we bring them all the training materials using a simple phone? Mine is not even an iPhone, right? Using simple phone, they can use those lessons or whatever we produce for them. And finally, what's very important for all countries, I think, in the era of geopolitics here is data sovereignty. How do we make sure that the data that we are feeding the system does not go in unintended hands, right? We need to keep that data sovereignty as much as possible, internal or regional. And that's where frugal AI helps a lot, because whatever we put in the system remains within the frontiers of the country or of the institutions. So those are the points I wanted to make today. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. So finally, doing brilliantly on time, I would like to introduce a perspective from the Pacific. Dr. Rajni Chand is the director of the Center for Flexible Learning at the University of the South Pacific in Fiji. Dr. Chand.
Good afternoon to all of you. I'm going to take you to the south of the equator because we have heard from the countries that are, I would say, not sure, but I would say global south. And the center that I represent, as well as the university that I represent, is in a cross-cutting section where we have 9 Commonwealth countries and we have 13 small island countries that make up the University of the South Pacific, which is I think the only second regional university in the world. So when we look at these small island countries, the first thing that can come to your mind is the smallness. Apart from PNG, Papua New Guinea, which has more than 10 million population, the other 12 island countries that make up the University of the South Pacific, none of them have more than 1 million population each. And a few of them are just 2 meters above the ocean level. Meaning, in another 50 or 60 years' time, some of the countries like Tuvalu or Kiribati may be under the sea level itself. But that doesn't mean that their identity, their knowledge, their culture, their tradition should be lost. So some of the projects through which we have actually provided them the kind of support is through the various projects we are doing with Commonwealth of Learning, as well as with the trust these countries have with the University of the South Pacific, to provide them with that uniqueness, that proprietorship of the knowledge that they have. And that is through using the skill training, professional development, as well as trying to provide them with the AI knowledge that can be useful to them when they have to start or to develop the resources for themselves. When we look at 1 million population or less than 1 million population, we are looking at experts in the country who are holding or wearing multiple hats as well. You may have the same person at the Ministry of Education who is looking after the database. The same person may also be the focal point for Commonwealth of Learning. The same person is the trainer to provide the training for the teachers in the secondary or the primary school. That one person may just have a bachelor's degree. How will they continue to provide the support necessary? How will they develop the resources? They may have just one IT expert in the ministry level. If the computer breaks down, or if one of these persons are sick or have decided to migrate, most of these countries have only a flight once a week or every 3 weeks. And the only country they can depend on is Fiji, which is the largest of these island countries. So the skill development, putting the data together, training everyone else, is then dependent on these people who just don't have the time and the knowledge. And that is where trying to provide the support as well as creating that trust in whoever is providing the training comes from trustworthy organizations. And that is where Commonwealth of Learning as well as University of the South Pacific is providing the training for these island nations and Papua New Guinea for that matter as well, so that they still have the identity when any of these AI resources are developed. And that is where we are continuing our work, and we will do so. But remember, when we talk about Global South, this is the South that I'm representing. Thank you.
So today, the Commonwealth of Learning is launching a compact, which is an agreement that we are inviting all of our stakeholders to sign up to. The compact indicates a number of critical elements that you've heard from all the speakers today. It will allow access to a team, a community, an alliance to an open framework produced by our colleagues in India and beyond. and a series of protocols about how we intend to deploy our systems. This alliance is already in existence, and you've heard from a number of the stakeholders in this room of communities in which we're already piloting frugal technologies. So if you're in a remote location in Papua New Guinea or in one of the islands of the South Pacific, you can take a university filled with experts already on a laptop. It already can represent actually a pretty good representation of the skills of a reasonable librarian who's got access to your library, a sensible provost who can tell you a little bit about the structure of your curriculum, someone who can help you to do basic advisory services without those individuals being anywhere else other than in a box, and certainly not on someone else's cloud. So affordable, sovereign, private, secure, and shareable, but only when you choose to do that. Critical parts of the compact, which you will see if you go to our website, which is on that QR code. And we've also got a lot of cards. We've handed out a range of cards today. Please pick up a card. Please share cards with your friends. And if you are a Commonwealth country, which India is, you're already part of our community, to work with us on making learning more accessible, more flexible, more affordable, and able to reach into communities where it otherwise can't get at a price that makes sense. So, 5 minutes and 31 seconds to go. Any questions? Microphone?
Hello, am I audible? Thanks a lot for having such a nice panel on the education side of the AI. My question is about India and about the impact of AI on primary education, on the education side and on the non-education side of the AI in primary education, because in primary education the children learns a lot other than education side in the school environment. Then how will we cater to that with the AI and all?
Question. Who wants to be first?
Actually, there are a lot of things happening in the school education front. I'm not sure how many of you attended the 2-day summit on 12th and 13th in the same place, which was conducted by IIT Madras and Ministry of Education. And there are plenty of applications, and there are plenty of NGOs and private entities coming together, to provide these opportunities. And there are new platforms like Bharat Gen platforms coming up to help these initiatives. I think it's happening much better and much bigger in school education.
Anybody else want to respond to that? You got that?
How can we get AI support for unprivileged to visualizing the concept, competency-based learning and technology-based assessment under the umbrella of the Commonwealth?
Sweet. Competencies, that sounds like you. Edwin, do you want to talk about competencies?
Thank you. The question of competencies is interesting. Currently, the Kenya School of Tibet is reading the CBET program of changing the technical teachers from the knowledge-based system to competence-based educational systems. We have succeeded very well in doing that. We've trained over 10,000. But the whole reason is the aspect of competency is looking more of skills. Are you competent or are you just knowledgeable? We used to know what was called KBET, knowledge-based education and training. Now it's competence-based. In other words, let me give you a critical example. If I ask you how to make a stool in a Tibet institution, you can go to ChatGPT. It will give you an answer in 10 seconds. It can even give you how to do the nailing. But you see, ChatGPT doesn't make this tool. So what we are now telling you is we are giving you 10 marks for showing how to make a tool, but we are giving you 90 marks for making this tool. So if we remain knowledge-based, we are actually compromising fully in the AI systems. So you will give us how to make a tool, that is 5 marks. Make the stool for me until it's standing, you get 95 marks. That is the shift to competence-based, where you must give a product, not just knowledge. So I think the same thing will apply with mathematics, which is your field of specialization. Show me what you've done, not what you know. And that is the big difference.
Okay, I'm told we got time for one more question, even though we have a full 2 minutes.
So good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for this insightful panel. I'm from Mauritius. I see that we've got one speaker from Mauritius. So my question is, we've been talking about energy saving, we've been talking about affordable AI, but what about the quality of training? Because we've been talking about putting AI in universities. I was also a lecturer. So how do we maintain this quality training? How do we ensure that we don't kill creative thinking and problem solving through the AI? Because today what we see from students is most of them, when they get assessment, so it's being done by ChatGPT, Gemini, or others. So thank you.
Yeah, I would like to address this. So for quality, if you look at our portal, which is up and running, it actually is very well aligned with your curriculum, which is government approved. In fact, we have experienced that people are searching outside curriculum, that again with the curriculum based matching, it's bringing that topic to your curriculum and then explaining. And explaining with the generative AI, power of generative AI. So if you ask the same lesson plan again and again, you will get different answers. But again, every answer will be related to your curriculum only with well alignment. So we are, by design, we are with quality. We are not compromising quality if we are going for frugal. That is the first condition we should be careful about. Yeah.
Okay, we're out of time. But I'm really grateful to my team for doing a fantastic job of covering so much ground in a very short period of time. Please feel free to visit our website. If you haven't picked up a card, please do so. And thank you very much today. So anything that's open source we will plug with. And there's a whole bunch of really cool models that are open source.
We tried 50 plus models, because each subject requires different applications to answer your time. Out of 50 plus models with our experiments, we come up with 4 best models, which are addressing these 4 subjects. All are has to run locally, that is our customer.
I'll look at the portal online and explore more and see. What's the same I was wondering if...
Yeah, everything open, and we're doing an agentic framework at the moment to try and make sure that you're using the right one to answer the right questions, because they change all the time. So the agentic piece is actually harder than having good models.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, keep in touch.
So this is a model we have been running for a decade under the new freedom laws.